Hi, everyone, and welcome to Take a Pause with Menopause, where we will talk about the pause in all of her glory and not so glory. But the conversation will always be real and honest and sometimes a little bit funny because, there has to be humor in what is occurring to us at this point. So I am joined today, as per usual, with my partners in crime, Raquel and Debbie from Menopause. And today's episode is about confidence, courage, and community and just, just learning how to manage this menopause. And we are so happy to have Kate here with us, who is co owner and co founder of Parlor Games. And girls, if you don't know this website, you need to find this website because it's amazing. I use the Wow cream. That's all I'm going to say. It is a wow. It
Same.
is a wow.
Love it.
I love it. Yes. And how we're going to find out Kate's journey in everything, how she went from, do I say, spoiler alert, a high school science teacher,
Ooh,
and with her best friend, Kirsty, who they've been friends for, I believe it was 30 years,
Close
um,
to, yeah.
close to, and how this all started back in 2020. So, welcome, Kate.
Thank you. I am beyond delighted to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to talk about, my favorite topic, hormones, hormones, hormones. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yes. I did not know they were a favorite topic of mine until I went through menopause. I can tell you, I didn't even know I knew we had estrogen and
yeah.
progesterone, like, sure. But when you have them, you sort of take them for granted. At least I know I did. And then when you don't, you're like, hello, where are you?
I would have used mine way more wisely had I known
Same,
they were going to go away.
same, same. I would agree.
Well,
So,
oh, I was just going to say, I'm super, super
yes.
happy to have this conversation because almost a year ago, I was scrolling and I found parlor games on Instagram. And then from the moment I started researching, I'm like, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to get some of this. And, like sometimes you're online, you're like, is it real? Is this really going to work? And I'm just going to be open. I'm, older, 60 something and starting a new relationship. And sometimes things get a little bit, not ready to wow, but you do have a wow face cream. But anyway, so I decided, what the heck, I'm going to try it. And I loved it so much that I actually messaged Kate and I
Yeah.
said, wow, this is so exciting. I want to share this with the world. So
Mhm.
first I shared it with our team and I really do. I could honestly say I use 3 of the products,
Mhm.
and I don't even know what I would do, honestly, and I share it with everybody. I even
She
had it
does.
too, and I said to my cousin, because she's now dating, "Here, have some of this." So
Yeah, you
really, and she's
were up at 1
75.
and we're talking about it, and we're like, "So did you get your peachy cream? Yeah, are
I
you
know.
using your peachy
I love
cream?"
my peachy cream. So anyway, I just think this is a very important conversation, especially for any woman, but I have to say for women over 50, especially if you're going through life changes, your hormones, you're going through a divorce, whatever you're going through. Thank you for using your scientific background and using
Mhm.
all of that to come up with a product that's not only made with integrity and you've researched everything, but a product that's changing women's lives. So, with that said, I want to say thank you for changing our lives and my
Yes.
life personally. So,
Yes.
Thank
thank you, Kate.
you. Thank you.
I
Thank
I
you.
would agree. Thank you,
Yeah.
and now we can, find out about you. Tell us your journey and how you got here.
Mm.
Well, it's meandering. Um, I did start off as a science teacher, and I love teaching. I love that moment where you share some information and somebody's eyes go wide because
Mhm.
they've got it.
Mhm.
Um, I've continued to love to do that. I love to teach. But I took a sideways, not sideways, or I took, yeah, sideways step into business in my late 20s and found that I love it. I love the business process, inside, outside. I love numbers. I love the human resources side, the people empowering side. I love planning. I love visioning. I love create. I mean, I just love business. And that business experience took me into, chief operating roles in clinical laboratories.
I love
And
that.
being in those leadership positions in a couple of clinical laboratories in the field of hormones and hormone testing opened up this brand new world, and
Mhm.
I dived in.
Yeah.
I loved the science, I loved the biochemistry, but even more, I loved distilling that biochemistry into messaging that makes somebody go, "Oh, I get it.
Mhm.
This is how it applies to me."
I love your
And
commercials. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna just
yeah.
stop and say I love your commercials. I love them because I can see it, and I'm a visual person.
Mhm. So I kind of carried on with that work, helping the companies that I was driving get their message out to practitioners. It was all practitioner based. So I was educating practitioners on hormones and how to use them and how to do head testing. Um, and I would go to conferences and I would be there at my booth. And before long, I would have all the women who were also exhibiting around me asking me about hormones. And a theme came up, particularly for women who were like 55 plus. They were saying, well, what can I do about sex? It hurts. Is there a hormone that helps with that? And so I would give them some ideas. But the crescendo of sound, was building. And then my best friend, Kirsty Hag, came to me and said, Kate, sex is starting to hurt. You know about hormones. Is there anything I can do? And I said, come with me, young lady. I
Yeah.
have the answer. And I gave her some estriol cream from the professional line that I had. And that worked. Within 2 weeks, she's texting me like, "Oh, wow, I'm back.
Yeah.
I know.
So are my lady bits."
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
The lady
I
bits.
love that.
Yes,
Lady
the lady
bits.
bits. I love it.
I definitely like
We
that
just had
better
the
than
best
saying down
ever.
there.
Oh, yes. De
In the
Debbie
way
has
that
the problem with saying down there, but she will now
right.
probably say lady bits.
I'm saying that from now on. I can say that proudly. Lady bits.
So Kirsty is a longtime businesswoman too. She's an entrepreneur, and a lot of her experience was direct to consumer. A lot of mine was wholesale and B2B. Um, so I cajoled her into
Mhm.
trying out this idea of bringing a product to the market that would save women's vaginas,
Yeah.
that would put this estriol back into that very tender tissue and help rejuvenate it and repair that tissue so that, you know, life and sex could be fun again. And this is her magic, on the business side of things, on the marketing side of things, and the
Mhm.
messaging and the crafting and the outreach. She's really, really good at that. And then I do the business admin and I talk about hormones. And so
Oh.
this partnership where we have complementary skills has just brought forth this entity. And our flagship product, Silky Peach Cream, has actually been sold to over 1 million vagina
Wow.
holders.
Whoa.
That
That's a
that's
great
amazing.
number.
I
That's
know.
a lot
Isn't
of
it?
lady
Isn't it?
bits.
That
You
is.
know, and our company motto is saving the world one vagina at a time, and we mean it.
No,
We
I
did
When
it
can
I
every
tell.
day.
when I read that, I was like, that is it's like hysterical, but it's also true. You know what I mean? Like it
Mhm,
is. Like that's what makes you happy. And if the
mhm,
as I say, if the little vajayjay ain't happy, ain't nobody
mhm.
happy. Like it's
Right.
just it's
Mhm.
horrible if it's not. The lady
Yeah.
Right.
bits, Debbie.
And
Thank
whether
you.
you or not you're using it for intimacy, for sex, you do need that aspect of your body to be strong and healthy. You know, it's part of our skin barrier. And
Mhm.
if the
Hmm.
skin barrier is broken, that's when pathogens can get in
Oh,
and bacteria gets in and your
Yeah.
inflammation starts and your immune system's like, ah, what's going on?
Yep.
You know, so whether or not you're using it for fun and games, that skin barrier is important.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% it is. Especially as we age, it kinda helps stop some of the UTIs that,
mhm,
we all face as we age. Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Right, right. The urethra, if you think about it, the little tube that goes from the bladder to the outside
Mhm.
world, that also relies on estrogen, and if it doesn't get it, the skin that
sorry.
lines
God
that
bless.
tube
Yeah.
gets friable. It gets little micro tears in it, and it's more likely to be just irritable and increases the chance of infection. So
Yeah.
putting some form of estrogen, estriol in particular, in this cream, in Silky Peach cream, that gets into that whole pelvic area, and helps the bladder, helps the urethra, as well as helping the vagina and the vulva. So it's
Yeah.
just magic cream.
It it's just amazing. I mean, truly. And, just the whole process of how you guys both connected, you being more of, like the corporate, her being the consumer. Sometimes I think when things happen like that, it's just serendipity, right? Like it just makes it all like you didn't have to work hard for it. Like that's how,
Mhm,
like, if you work so hard to make something work and it doesn't, you're sort of like, oh, but this just all came together. Like
mhm.
in how you're explaining it. Did you have though any like obstacles or anything in doing it all?
Um, so there have been, I tend not to dwell on them. I will say one thing, whatever angle you bring into spirituality,
Mm,
one of
Mm.
the experiences that I have had through all of this is the sense of being in the right place at the right time,
yeah.
doing the right thing, like
Yep.
living like what I was meant to do in this world.
Yeah.
Um, and so from that point of view, when I anchor myself in that, when we do have challenges, that's a great way to kind of removing those barriers. It's just like, yeah, I just ask for universal guidance to
Yes.
continue doing what it is we're here to do. So I'm
Yes.
incredibly fortunate to do my personal mission work.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets to do that, and I don't take that lightly. I appreciate it so very much. Probably in the same way that you 3 do, because of what
Yeah.
you're
I
doing
was
to
thinking
change the
that what you're
world.
saying resonates so deeply with us because we talk about removing the silence around menopause,
Hmm.
and what like makes the most impact to women, and we are too very much guided by like the universal impact of how things flow. And it's a hard space sometimes because you think, oh my gosh, this is so horrible right now, but then you just stop yourself and think like nothing bad stays, and the universe will work this
Yeah.
through however it's
Right,
supposed
Hmm.
to. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
I
much
do
right.
agree. I do
Yeah.
agree.
Was
So I
there
have
a
a oh, go
defining
ahead.
moment for you where you knew this was your calling?
Um, gosh, that one's such an interesting to tie and handle. There wasn't one moment other than I just knew this was such a problem. I
Hmm.
Yeah,
just knew it based on my experiences of women coming to me.
yeah,
And then when I began to get the sense of like, "Oh, this is what they're talking about," as I was going up through my 50s, I'm 63 now, like, "Oh, there are no solutions," or not ones that the vast majority of people can access. I
Right.
just knew. It was like I'm gonna go back to my, like, heart center again.
Hmm.
I just knew. It was like a message had arrived, and I
mhm,
I just knew. So there was no one moment. I will say that is reinforced. Um, we have a private Facebook group for our customers, which, oh my goodness, talk about women helping women.
Hmm.
It's like 45,000 women strong is this group. Um, but we see messages in there. We call them customer love,
Mm.
and they're sharing their experiences of regaining this aspect of their life, this intimate aspect of their life, and the joy that it brings to them. And every time I read one of those, I am almost in tears. It doesn't matter. It's like, I could get hit by a truck. I mean, I don't want to, but
We don't
if I
want you to.
did,
We don't
like
want you to.
I would have already made such a difference. And um so that just reinforces that message of, oh yeah, right place, right time, doing the right thing for
I think
women.
that's really beautiful too, just because
Yes.
you're doing this from a place of your own need to help people. You're not doing this for like any like gain, oh, I just want the
Mhm.
notoriety. Oh, I want the legacy. You're genuinely coming from this place of wanting to help. You heard
Yeah.
the problem and you found the solution.
And it's
Right.
the passion. It's
Yeah.
actually, and when other people, like, we can see and hear and feel the passion that you have, and, when I was talking with my husband, like, I found out I was postmenopausal on a piece of paper from the doctor's office when I was leaving. They never said any other time. I'm just reading it, and I was like, "Postmenopausal woman? What? Who?" I'm, like, looking around like, who are they talking to? Did they print up the wrong one? And I was like, no, that's my name. So when you find that, it's like nobody mentioned peri or menopause
Mhm.
or anything. And when I'm talking to my husband and I'm reading the books and I'm like standing on my soapbox, and he was like, okay, you need to find a way to put this
Mhm.
passion out there, because if you're not the only one. And like just having him say that, it was like the aha moment, like you had
Mhm.
listening to all the women come up to you when you're in your booth, like, it's not just me. It's
Mhm.
not just Kirsty. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
it's so many millions of,
Mhm.
women out there.
Mhm.
So it is a passion,
Yeah.
truly.
And it's fascinating to see just even in the last 2 years, excuse me, the surging of information, as I think maybe some of the baby boomers just kind of went with it. But the Generation X, they're like, I am not taking this lying down. I want more.
Yeah.
I want more. And so there's a surge of interest in understanding. And I am so excited by that. Whether that's us at Parlor Games, we do what we can to help educate. Um, or wherever there is more information, the work that you're doing is a
Mhm.
blossoming into that space. It's like a desert where women are
Mm.
hungry for information,
Yep.
and so it is all good. We are all working collectively to
Mhm.
really support women through this, what can be easy, but can also be very traumatic. So kudos to you for contributing to that as well.
Well, yeah,
Right.
well, um, so thinking about that, since we are out there talking about it, I'm finding that there's a lot of women, like 35 to 45, who are actually going through it now.
Yep.
And they're like, Is this me?" And they're also sharing that their mom is going through it, and their mom doesn't know she's going through it. So
Mhm.
I think it's interesting that the younger women, like you said, right now are like, "Hey, we wanna know about this. I'm not excited about going to what's happening, but if I know what's gonna happen ahead of time, I can
Mhm.
prepare for it." So I love the idea that we are having this conversation, 'cause nobody ever told me, nobody told us. I really
Yeah.
didn't find out about it till I was 65. That's pretty sad that I
Yeah.
had
Mhm.
no idea all these years. I thought I was just losing my mind, and I thought I was
Mhm.
just everything I thought was me. Am I broken? The anxiety. It was like nobody ever said to me, "Well, let's check your hormones." They're like, "Oh no, like you can't take all that." So I think it's your, with your company, you're educating women of all ages, and it's super important. And if
Mhm.
you're listening out there, if any woman, your mom, your aunt, even your grandma, I think it's important. I know it's important that you share with them the symptoms and help them get the resources now and not wait till like I did when I was 65. There's so much life to be lived. And thank you for
Mhm.
helping us live that life.
Yep.
It's, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I think there's probably 4 categories. There's women who are, you know, not perimenopausal yet. They may or may not be interested in conception. Then you've got your women who are perimenopausal, which can be late 30s to like
Mhm.
late 40s. And then you've got what can be classified as like the menopausal transition, which is sort of 48-ish to
Mhm.
53 on the
Yep.
outside, where it's really going to hell in a handbasket. And then
Yes, yes.
You nailed
Perfect.
that one. That
That
is like
nailed it, exactly. Nailed it.
that's a clinical term,
Tracks.
that one.
That tracks.
Yeah. Um, and then you've got like 53 onwards, which could be 40 years, you know,
Mhm.
for those who are really robust, but certainly 30 years where you're living often without hormones. Now,
Mhm.
you may be done with reproduction in that postmenopausal phase, but you sure as heck are not done with hormones. They
Yep.
are important for so many functions in the body. And women are underserved when a practitioner doesn't come along and say, "Oh, based on your levels, yeah, you look
Mhm.
like you're postmenopausal.
Yeah.
Let's make sure you have sufficient levels for the next 35 years."
Yep.
Um, we have so much to give as women. We are wise, we are intelligent, we are kind, we are usually nonviolent. We have so much that we can bring to the people around us, to our society. And we just diminish that contribution when we don't make sure that women have sufficient hormones for brain function, for
Yep.
energy, for motivation. So I we there is so much that can be done in that menopausal category. But let's go back to perimenopause. One of the biggest hormones that does not get attention is progesterone.
Mhm.
Estrogen's the sexy one.
Yep.
Estrogen's the one that's always in the news. You talk about estrogen this, estrogen that.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
the sexy one. But progesterone is our calming hormone,
Mhm.
and that's the one that we lose first.
Mm.
We make progesterone when we ovulate. And as we go into our 40s, we stop ovulating every month. And so if you don't ovulate, you don't get so much progesterone that month.
Mhm.
That's when you turn into the menopausal beast.
Mm. Uh-huh.
Um, and nobody really wants to be a menopausal beast, at least not for
Mm-mm.
long. Perhaps only for those like rage driving moments. Um, but so
Oh, I've had
simply,
them.
Same, same. I got a couple blogs about that.
not to the point of getting tickets, we understand.
No, no, no.
Fair, fair assessment.
No.
So so making sure we have adequate progesterone during that perimenopausal window goes so far to helping women feel like they are themselves again.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's big gaps in knowledge and big gaps in care. And I'm just excited that there is a groundswell of women who are wanting to help other women through this.
I
Like you
love
Right.
guys.
that you come from a science-based background with this, because
Mhm.
that I think that just adds an element to this, um, just the whole product, like you have a science-based background, you understand it from the inside out. You're not just like, here's a cream, it'll work. You know what I mean? Like a
Mhm,
lot of times that's what we see. So it's
mhm,
so encouraging to see somebody with like a science-based background saying, like this was the issue and now we're gonna solve that for you as women. And
mhm.
I didn't even realize progesterone, I can't even say it now.
Progesterone.
Been along
Progesterone.
yeah, and as we started to like lessen our
Same.
egg ovulation. So that is an interesting concept because I can
Mhm,
identify exactly where I was 2 years ago with that in my journey.
mhm,
And now I'm realizing, yeah, that was what was happening because I thought it was too much estrogen, but I think it was reversed now as we're
mhm.
talking.
Right. And I
Right.
think though
Mhm,
too, like everybody put for whatever reason, I still haven't figured out, but I know there's a conspiracy theory somewhere. I do. I know there's like everybody put all their eggs in the basket, no pun intended, for the black label, you can't
mhm,
take and they
mhm,
totally forgot about progesterone and testosterone. They're like, "Oh, nobody will talk about them. Let's not talk about
mhm,
them. Let's put all of it on the estrogen and why you
mhm,
can't have it or why so it was like everybody focused on that and never I never even thought about progesterone. I just thought it was normal to be up at 3 a.m. figuring out in April what my desserts were going to be for Thanksgiving. I figured
mm-mm.
this is a normal conversation I'm having at
Nobody else is
3 a.m.
wondering why the microwave was invented at 3 a.m.
Exactly, exactly. Like, well, what? Everybody's doing it, but like you said, Raquel, like if you track it, that was what was happening first. It
Mhm,
was, not the hot flashes or anything. It was the sleep disturbance, the
mhm.
feeling a little anxious going to
Yeah.
bed saying, "Oh, I hope I sleep. I hope I sleep
Yeah,
all night."
Right.
And only to find out, no,
you're not sleeping.
you're not going to
Mhm.
sleep all
Totally.
night. Yeah. Yeah. Silly
Right.
girl.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and you don't think about it at the time, right? Because you haven't been faced with any of those, like, non-sleeping issues. So at the time,
Yeah.
you're just like, "Oh, I just didn't sleep great last night. I just," and you shrug it off, which is easy to do. But now as I look back through all of my journey, I can identify, like, specific, like, pain points
Mhm.
where I
Mhm.
could have used this information.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so one of my oh, sorry.
go
No,
ahead,
no,
Jen.
I was gonna say, we were talking about pinpoints. I can remember at least twice being in the shower and my hair was just
Mhm,
falling out. I thought, "Oh my god," like, what I thought maybe I was getting is it cancer? You don't know. And so
mhm,
I called the doctor and I said, "Oh my gosh," what he goes, "Oh, every 5 years you just lose your hair." I'm like, "Okay." And I never, like, even questioned it. I never
Yeah.
questioned, like, but the anxiety of being in that shower and just seeing hair
Mhm.
everywhere, I really thought something serious was wrong, and
mhm,
it just that was a moment. I mean, I would have never connected the moment or the times I've ended up in the ER with a panic attack and
Mhm.
literally thinking, "Do I have a heart problem?" And going at least 3 times I was in the ER, nobody ever said they're like, "Oh, you're just stressed. You're just stressed.
mhm,
Take some more anxiety pills." But to think that all those times, I really thought something was super serious wrong. If someone just would have said to me, maybe the anxiety has something to do with, let's check your hormones. I
mhm,
I would have not like, now I was taking anxiety pills. Anytime I felt a little my chest, I popped a pill because I
mhm,
was like, I have to pop a pill. And I'm still doing that, but less because I know now I can breathe through it and I can get through it. But
mhm.
it's all those moments that all of us, all these years have gone through, and I'm baffled that that us who didn't have the education are now,
Right.
thank God we're getting it, and like I said, thank God the younger people are getting it as well.
Mhm,
But I also like, what would you say to like a woman who says like I did, I don't feel like myself anymore. Like I honestly, I did not know what was wrong with me. I mean, literally, I cried a lot. I didn't want to get out of bed. I literally thought, like, I'm not good enough. Am I even gonna keep my marriage? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, it's everything was like, I'm broken. And what would you tell somebody who's just going through this where they're like, what is happening in my body? What would you say to them to make them at least think about it?
um, demand that you get your hormones tested. Now, I could go on for a whole hour, on how you get your hormones
Right.
tested, and, we've got resources on this on our blog, but I'll just summarize that. Um, Oftentimes, what you really want to understand is what's available at your tissue level.
Mhm.
What's
Mm.
circulating with all those little open doors saying, "Send me hormone, send me hormone, send me hormone." Um, the best way to do that is to test your hormones in saliva. It's not always covered by insurance. It could be an out-of-pocket cost, and yet it's one of the best investments you can make in your health because you're looking at those numbers going, "Yeah, I've got plenty of estrogen, I'm fine. Holy moly, where's my progesterone gone?" And
Yeah.
it is in that gap. It's the gap between estrogen and progesterone. That's where everything that you have described begins to appear. Progesterone is so important for our mental health. Progesterone breaks down into a calming neurochemical neurotransmitter called GABA, and
Mhm.
GABA is one of our soothers.
Mhm.
A lot of anti-anxiety meds will act on the GABA
Mm.
receptor to increase GABA. Well, you don't need to necessarily need to take the anxiety med. You can use progesterone. Progesterone can prompt that production of GABA. So test your hormones. Insist. If your doctor says, "Oh, you don't need to test your hormones. You're not perimenopausal yet, or you're not menopausal yet," just ask for a different doctor. In
Yeah.
that case, that doctor doesn't understand. the role of hormones. And 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 in their defense, many doctors are not taught about menopause. They receive less than 5 hours of training on menopause. So and yet it's such a specialist area because
Yeah.
hormones are chemicals, powerful chemicals. And if you spend less than 5 hours learning the biochemistry and how to treat, you don't understand. So finding a practitioner who can help um, is super important. Um, and then so many women, when they discover that they are low in progesterone, then they decide to supplement. They will use a cream to supplement, and how much you do, and how much and how frequently you do it depends on where you are. You're still cycling, or your cycles all over the place. There's different ways you can approach
Hmm.
it. But a big piece of it is that, because think about it, if you're feeling anxious, you're not sleeping. If you've got insomnia while you're not sleeping, and if you're not sleeping, everything is going to hell in a handbasket
Oh,
Yes.
really,
yeah.
really quickly.
Oh,
Oh,
just
So no
desperately
wonder
out,
you
just
don't
out of
feel like
control.
yourself.
Yes,
So
yes.
this out of control feeling.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I remember doing the research and hearing the word sleep hygiene, and I laughed at it. And I was like,
it's
oh
Same.
a
my
big deal,
God.
apparently.
But now I use that all the time. Like if our kids are like, oh, you want to do something? I'm like, I got to be in bed by 8:30. I have my sleep hygiene that I need to keep going. And they were like, oh, and I was like, I sleep like a toddler. So yes, 8:30. If we can do the dinner and birthday presents and all of that, then I'm in. I'm
Tell
in.
them by 5, so I have a little wind down time. That'd be
Yes.
amazing. My
Yes.
husband's always like, "What the heck are you doing outside?" I'm like, "I'm grounding." It's great to get good sun first thing in the morning. At least melatonin. He's
Yeah.
like, "I don't want to know," and he just walks off. I'm sleep training, dang it! I'm sleep training.
Sleep training,
What's wrong with
exactly.
you? How come you don't know this?
Well, I
I'm
went to
rubbing
bed
Exactly.
my
last night at
progesterone in while my
7 o'clock.
feet are on the ground and I'm breathing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, all
Yes.
the
Yeah.
things. I would stand there with a lightning stick if I needed to. I just at this point, I need to sleep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about progesterone, another tidbit, I um went through a lot of infertility and miscarriages, and we discovered that I didn't have enough progesterone to keep the baby or to
Mhm.
even get pregnant. So it's really progesterone's also important for infertility as well.
Mhm.
And literally I would get a lab test every week during my when I finally was able to have a successful pregnancy, and I had a nurse, they would do my labs, and every week she would give me whatever amount of progesterone I needed to keep the pregnancy. So I know that I didn't even have any. Like, so now I
Right.
feel like I really need them. If I didn't have it then and they were pumping it in me for 9 months, but then they
Mhm.
stopped pumping it in me because I had Joey. So it's like I feel like, I just like you said, people didn't talk about progesterone. So now I wanna go back and tell I think I need a little bit more. I think they're giving me the baby dose to start with, but
Yeah.
maybe I wanna, like, bump it up a little bit because 'cause I'm still
Mhm.
not sleeping. I'm not
Oh, yeah.
sleeping. So,
Mhm.
Well,
love
I
that
The
think
progesterone.
mhm.
th There's some work by, a pioneer, Dr. John Lee, who really started the conversation about supplementing with progesterone. And you can go look up his books. But a lot, I mean, he really was the founder of all of this conversation. Um, and his suggestion was somewhere between 20 and 25 milligrams of progesterone, topical progesterone a day. Obviously, that's more if somebody's doing oral,
Mhm.
taking a pill. Um, but that is a resource. Go look up at Dr. John Lee website. And again, we have a bunch of stuff on progesterone on our website as well.
That's what
Um,
I was gonna say. Your website is amazing. The
Mhm.
Oh,
newsletters,
it's
the
incredible. Yes.
everything,
I
like
love her Sunday newsletters.
yes, the
Oh my
Sunday one.
gosh. I
Yeah.
get that email and I'm like, yours never get deleted. They get
Nope.
opened and they get
Informative.
starred.
Same. Like, I really do look for it exactly like you said,
yeah.
and it's just like, I don't know, it's sort of like you have your mini aha moments throughout, it sort of
Mhm.
validates what you've been feeling, whether you have, similar aged women that you work with. If you're not, then you're sort of like, oh, and then you get this, you laugh, you're like, aha,
Mhm.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It does happen. So yes, your website again, ladies, everybody is going to want the products and to just look at the website, look
Okay,
around it with the blogs. It's
what is the website, by the way?
It is www.pause Parlor, Parlor hyphen
Yes.
games, GAM as in Mary, ES as in Sam.com. So parlor-games.com.
I just
Yes.
wanna make sure we said it out loud.
Thank you.
It will be there for them to read and listen
Yes.
to,
Yes.
but since we're talking about I really felt like I wanted to make sure we heard your words with your heart because it's so important to you. Have you
Mhm.
Yes.
say it for us.
It is.
Now,
Yeah.
do you think, Kate, do you think that with the stress of just societal stress that women are facing and working and having children, later or having infertility problems, that do you see perimenopause starting even earlier than what it used to
Mm.
Mhm.
happen?
Yeah, without a doubt. Stress is possibly one of the most dangerous things for our body. Um, the minute, we are designed biochemically to have a stress response.
Hmm.
Um, think back to wandering around the plains. If there was a tiger nearby, you wanted to be out of there. That was a
Right.
stressful moment. You
Right.
were going to get out of the way. Your
Right.
your your cortisol went through the roof. Your adrenaline, your noradrenaline, everything was involved in like, I need to survive, I need to survive, I need to survive. But it would calm down afterwards. That lion would wander off, having, picked off an ibex or something.
Yeah.
So you were no longer under threat. So you calm down. What happens now is that we are under stress constantly.
Hmm.
We
Mhm.
are pushing our cortisol levels. We are
Mm.
pushing our noradrenaline, our adrenaline out of our brains. It is constant. It is never ending. And so we never get the chance to kind of react to that.
Hmm.
Now, our stress response system is linked to our immune system.
Mhm.
So when we are constantly under stress, the immune system says, "Kind of, I got this. I got this. I got this. Oh, hang on. No, I don't have this. I don't have this.
Yeah.
You're just asking too much of me. Stop, stop,
Yeah.
stop." And so eventually, immune system will dysfunction. It can be one of the reasons that we see an increase in autoimmunity, particularly in women.
Oh,
It can
yeah.
be the increase in colds and flus and general levels of inflammation within the body
Yep.
because the immune system is not able to keep up with the impact of all those stress hormones. Those
Hmm.
stress hormones cause damage at a cellular level.
Yes.
They cause cellular damage, and the immune system is supposed to come along and deal with that. But if we just keep asking the immune system to do that too much, it cannot keep up. So we
Right.
have these rising levels of toxicity, which stress our organ systems and make us more tired. And then you're into a kind of a downward spiral of fatigue and
Hmm.
aching and, just brain fog, all
Ugh.
those things.
Yeah.
Um, and then when you try and layer on top of that, oh, and I would like to have a baby, thank you.
I
Your
know.
your
Right.
body says,
Right.
"What?
No.
I don't think so."
Yeah.
No.
That's what mine said.
Yeah.
Took lots of hormones and lots of
Yeah.
doctors and being in bed for 9, 8 months. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's the hormones, really, it's what I'm realizing that it's not just about staying young, it's about staying whole. I feel like
Mhm.
we don't feel whole. Everybody think, "Oh, let's take hormones and we're gonna be rock stars." I've only been
Mhm.
on them 6, 7 weeks, and I'm not feeling my brain fog is a little bit less at times, the girls notice that. I'm a
Mhm.
little bit less anxious at times, but other than that, I want it to work right away. I want it to just boom. The only thing that worked right away was parlor games, peachy cream. But other than that, how long do you expect it to take? Like, we need to be patient, correct?
Well, it can take everyone's different. Let's just say
Right.
everyone's different. And so the range is quite broad. Some women will begin to feel the benefit of progesterone, within a week. Others, it
Mm.
can take 2 months before they like, oh, I am calmer.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I will say, we do have a cream called Chaos Calmer, and it's
Oh,
for anxiety. And when you put that cream on your skin, that can work within 10 to 15 minutes.
I
Um,
want
Oh, that's
some.
one on the
I
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
I don't have that product. I have lots of
You
the
need that
products.
product.
I will be ordering that product.
Everyone's like, pick me, I'll take that one.
Yes, and it's
We're
gonna
all
be on
into
auto
writing it down.
shipment. Auto shipment is the way to go. 'Cause
Yeah,
I think we
absolutely.
we all get so busy with life. I always
Mhm,
wait till it's almost done, and then I'm like, "Oh, now I gotta wait." So really,
mhm,
I think it's about, being on top of it, like, being your
mhm,
own, as the girls would say, your own CEO, being on
Mhm.
top of what you need to do for yourself.
mhm. So so from that point of view, at 63, and having grown up in England, um, women were not as advanced in the workplace as American women were when I
Yeah.
was coming into the business world in the mid 90s.
Oh,
We
yeah.
still had to be as good as, oh, and better than
Mhm.
men. And so um, we had to prove ourselves. I think there was like a 10-year time lag.
Yeah.
So I have grown up in the business world feeling that I had to be better. Um,
Yeah.
Same.
but I still think a lot of that perpetuates.
Mhm.
And for all that feminism has created more opportunities for women and allowed them to have their voice and make their very important contributions, I still think there is this sense of I have to do it all. I have to have the family. I have to run the household. I have to run a company um,
Yes.
with no help.
Yeah.
No
And
help
and
and no
ladies, you just gotta
instructions.
stop that nonsense.
Yeah,
That
there's no instruction book that comes with any of this.
Right.
right. And so, when we do get caught up in that mindset, um, we 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 set our bodies up for risk,
Yeah.
for risk of things going wrong, serious disease. It can contribute, to infertility trying to do it all, as we just touched on. So, um, learning about our biochemistry, um, and understanding how to dance with it and play with it and have it work for us is something so empowering that we can do for ourselves.
Yeah.
So anytime there are messages that help people get to that place, or women especially get to that place, I think it's all good.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think especially with the saliva testing that you're talking about, that is something that is different than what you go to the provider and you're like, "Well, we'll take a blood level." But okay, that's only the level of what you were like that day, that time,
Uh-huh.
like where I do like to find out in your tissues, like
Mhm.
what do you got swimming around there? Because that to me makes sense with why you would have like gut issues or anything like that. So it all so just testing that and finding that out, how you guys are doing it at parlor games is really
Mhm.
also innovative, I would think.
And
Mhm.
it's interesting too because I hear a lot of women like, "Oh, my hormones are they're normal. I had them tested." But I think that's one of the conversation pieces that we should touch on too, is like there's a difference between blood and saliva because tissue and blood are completely different.
Hmm.
They are, and particularly if someone is going to use a topical cream, that
Yeah.
because that goes straight, you put it on thin areas of your skin,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so it's very quickly absorbed into the bloodstream, into the lymph, which is one of
Ah.
our lymph, our distribution systems, a slower distribution system.
Hmm.
Um, and so when you measure in blood, um, you're going to get the total level of hormone, and some of those hormones are going to be bound,
Mhm.
um, and therefore not available. There's two categories of hormone, two cat, okay, two broad categories of hormones: the available and the bound ones.
Mhm.
Okay.
And when the unbound hormones hitch a ride on on a red blood cell. That's kind of the Uber as they're
Hmm.
delivering around
Mhm.
the body to various receptor sites.
Hmm.
And so those red blood cells are sticky. So when you do a blood draw, the first thing you do is centrifuge it.
Mhm.
and you separate the serum from the red blood cells because it's easier to measure the serum. And
Right.
you throw those red blood cells away, and you've just thrown away your unbound hormone.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
what you measure is your bound hormone. And honestly, that's not particularly useful because they're already bound. So that's one of the drawbacks of serum testing or blood
Mhm.
testing, particularly if you're using topical hormones, because a lot of those hormones are going to be the unbound hormones. So, and again,
I love that.
I've
I
delivered
have
an
to listen to
hour-long
some of it.
lecture just on
Yeah.
that. So
Okay,
to practitioners. So we let's not go off on that tangent,
yeah.
but we do
Yeah.
have lots of information on that one. But it does inform your conversation with your practitioner about, well, which testing? I'm using cream,
Yeah.
so it really
Yeah.
needs to be
Yes.
saliva.
The
So quick,
information is what we're
yeah.
looking for. Yeah, definitely. And I
Mhm.
love
Yep.
that because the science is great.
So quick question. You had mentioned putting the topical ointment on because I do have to topical testosterone.
Mhm.
I've been putting it on my fatty parts. Is it different, like which side? Because I know I have another one of your products. What's the one, Raquel, we got that gives
Rebound.
us rebound? And
Yeah.
I'm putting it here or the top of my foot.
The top of
That
my
one,
foot. Yeah, that's
yeah,
what
I'm
I've
doing, but sometimes, I'm not holding babies or anything. So
Mhm.
sometimes, like
Right.
in the morning, I'm just trying to get everything where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the testosterone. Let's do my fat little tummy here. There's my
Mhm.
thigh, and then I take the other one. I put it like on my wrist. So is there a difference? You just mentioned that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe if we put it the right way, it's going to work better.
So there's some sweet little science about this. This is a science tip about the steroid hormones, which is progesterone, estradiol, testosterone in particular. They are what's called lipophilic. They love fat. So if
Oh.
you put them on fatty tissue, they're just going to sit there, happy as a little bee in clover.
Well, I'm not happy
Um,
about that.
Now,
Damn.
that can be fine in that it can build up a reservoir, but you have to burn off the fat tissue to release that hormone.
So exercise?
Yes. And you have to, I mean, we all know how bloody hard it is to get rid of fat around our belly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah,
I mean, once it's there, it appears to be there forever.
I
Yeah.
agree.
yeah.
So perhaps not the belly. I mean, if you can create a store by putting your testosterone or any hormone on fatty tissue. Um, if you want that to be bioavailable to the receptor sites in the body, you've got to get it into the two delivery systems, into the lymphatic system and into the bloodstream.
Oh.
So that's why our guidelines are put it on thin areas of your skin, like the inner arm, where you can
Mhm.
easily see there's the blood vessels there.
Uh-huh.
Um, Around the neck, if your neck is slender and you're not anywhere near close to doing a saliva sample, behind the knees, tops of the feet. Those are
Okay.
all
I like
areas where you're going to get the hormone in and ready for distribution throughout the whole body.
Well, here's another question in regards to the testosterone, the T. The myth of you're gonna like get super hairy where you put it on. So they're like, put it somewhere where like you shave often. Is that like a myth or, I mean, do you hear that a lot? Pick a
Oh, now
spot where
this
you don't mind.
so I think there's a little bit of confusion here, but it's actually some really sweet little biochemistry nuggets in this one.
Good.
Um, the thing that will the hormone that will make um, our chin hair come in is testosterone, but it's also a hormone called dihydrotestosterone, which is a metabolite of testosterone.
Oh.
Um, and DHEA,
Yeah.
some of that will metabolize to testosterone, and then some of that testosterone gets metabolized sideways off into DHT. So
And
if you have too much of those that are not balanced by progesterone, that can prompt that delightful, charmingly, chin hair growth and stylish
Yeah.
mustache.
very nice mustache.
Um, mhm. um,
Pleasers.
that have their
Tweezers.
role, perhaps. Yeah. Anyway, um, so if you're going to be using testosterone, if you're using DHEA, it's really important to also be using progesterone. And the reason is I mentioned testosterone being metabolized to DHT. Well, there's an enzyme that does that metabolizing step, and it's called 5-alpha reductase. And 5-alpha reductase is slowed down by using progesterone.
Oh,
So you
interesting.
can use testosterone, make sure you're using progesterone as well to slow that metabolizing, that conversion from testosterone to dihydrotestosterone.
Interesting.
So
Nice.
pair the
Wait,
two together. They're both
yes.
important. Yeah.
Mhm.
So can I just go back to something you said about hair as
Oh,
Yeah,
well?
yeah.
you
Your
Yeah.
hair
can, yeah.
falling
Yeah.
out. I'm like, oh yes, I want to come back to this one.
Okay.
So our hair follicles have receptors for dihydrotestosterone, for
Oh,
testosterone, for estrogen, and progesterone. So we're all sitting there like with little doors in all those little receptors, and you're in your hair follicles.
Mhm.
Progesterone and estradiol will outcompete testosterone and dihydrotestosterone. And that's important because your hair follicles will say, oh, dihydrotestosterone, die, and your hair falls out.
Oh,
I
I don't like
So
I don't like
the
that.
this is why hormones are such a balance. You need them
Right.
all, but
Yeah.
you've got to have enough of not too many of one and one of the other.
yeah.
So if you have elevated what's called androgens, so DHEA and testosterone, it could be that you are producing more hormones that will cause your hair follicles to die. If you
Uh,
have plenty of estrogen, particularly progesterone, those will get to that hair follicle faster and be protective.
Ooh, I love
I
that.
do
Yeah.
Too.
That is
Yeah.
so cool.
Hey, you're
It
just
is.
like a wealth of information. Can you just hang out with me for a day? I have so many
I
questions.
know. Well, so many questions. Like,
So
I
many.
mean, just the balancing part of all of the hormones is so important. And I don't think, you take what is the standard progesterone that they'll give you, like the provider, or whatever. And it's like, okay, but you're like, but wait, like everything ebbs and flows
Yeah.
naturally. And
Yeah.
you're just giving like one amount that should work for everybody, but everybody
Mhm.
is different, like you said. So just knowing that, that's amazing to
Yeah,
me.
Mhm.
yeah. I
Yeah.
was pretty low on my testosterone and I started Rebounce, your guys's Rebounce,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
use it every, like, 2nd day. I don't use it consecutively just because I'm under 55, and I really noticed a difference in my energy level, and it has helped
Mhm.
quite a bit. So I haven't had my blood retested, and I haven't done a saliva test, but I definitely noticed the difference already.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, DHEA, which is, the rebounds, that hormone, it's known as the wellness hormone. Um, when we were developing the product, we ran a test with some of our customers, and so many of them reported an increase in energy, a reduction in aches and pains,
Oh, yes.
an increase in brain function,
Mhm.
and memory in
Yes.
particular, an increase just in their general energy for life and motivation for life. They said it was so much more easy to get off the sofa and get out there and do what
Yeah.
was needed. And we had
Yeah.
one customer who had horses, and she went from just it was painful to get out with her horses, and she did it because she had to, like bounding out of bed in the morning,
Mhm.
and just back to thoroughly enjoying that interaction. I mean, it's for a very physical interaction. So yeah, I
I
I had the year from hell last year. My mother um was very ill and she died.
mm.
I got COVID, which wiped me out.
Oh.
Um, my brother-in-law died,
Oh my
and
gosh.
Hey, I'm
it
so
was
sorry.
Yes.
of course, running a
A
busy
business,
business,
right?
Uh-huh,
Yep.
yeah. So that never
I
stops.
Right.
I could not have got through all of that without DHEA, and without the vibrant thyroid progesterone. There's absolutely no way my brain could have kept up with the stress,
Yes.
Mhm.
and demands of it all. And I will say it wasn't just them, it was my team. My
Yeah,
team were amazing.
yeah,
Parlor
yeah.
Games staff, our employees are incredible. Um, so they picked me up and carried me a lot last year along with my hormones. So
What a
Well,
beautiful journey, though, because I mean, to have a team that stands behind you, I mean, that
mhm,
speaks to you a lot as a leader, and
Yes.
your friend, Kirsty.
Mhm.
I'm trying to be very cautious of how I pronounce her name because I want to say it correctly. I very much appreciate name pronunciation. As Raquel, I get a
Right.
lot of Rachel.
Oh, yeah. I bet you.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I
Yes.
think that's amazing. And apologies again for what a
yeah.
crabmy
Yes.
year.
That
I mean,
Oh, I mean, I think everybody has tough years. Thank you. Everyone has tough
Yeah.
years, and,
yeah, yeah.
I tell that just to illustrate that I couldn't have done it without the hormones. I don't know what I would have done. Probably run
Your
off a
hormones
British
have made
cliff
a difference for
somewhere.
me. I will tell you that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Same.
they yeah.
Same here. Yeah. And I
So
Yeah.
guess,
I
the takeaway is always you find the women that will lift you. Like we
Yes.
say, like, if you're down, you need that team, that other woman that's going to give you a hand to help
Mhm.
Yep.
lift you up, not step on you to
Yeah.
get to the other side. Like, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't see you down there. So
yeah.
Mhm.
that's the
So
most important.
I have another question because we were talking about women and standing up for each other and doing that. What would you say to the woman who thinks she just has to push through it? Like, I just got to do it. I got to do it because nobody told her she could actually feel better. What would you say to somebody saying, I just have to push through this? This is just what happens because I have to be strong.
Um, I would ask her to start that in a dialogue in terms of like, well, where does that story come
Hmm.
from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get to the root of that. What is the story in your head about that?
Mm,
And is that
yes.
real?
Right.
Ask other women who appear to be doing it all. Um, ask other women how they get through things. Women this is part of why we call it parlor games. Women have sat around in parlors plotting,
Mm.
and helping each other for as long as there have been
So
women.
Yes.
Yes. You are so
It's where
correct.
the
you're
parlor
so
comes from.
correct.
We do that. We At our finest, we do that and lift each other up, as you just said.
Yes.
Um, but ultimately, our happiness, and our contentment starts with the relationship that we have with ourselves,
Mm.
and understanding the nonsense that we often tell ourselves
Hmm.
is at the root of that. So, question: what is the story about having to push through? Um, is that real?
Mhm, mhm, mm.
I
It's a great journal
think
prompt.
that is perfect. And I think that is where we are going to end this, because that is a thought that everybody will be like, why am I doing this? What is the point? Like, why am I pushing myself because of keeping up with the Joneses, or
What's the story I'm telling myself?
what's the story I'm telling myself? So I think
Mhm.
just having you explain it like that, that is what hopefully all the ladies listening to this will stop and, why are you doing it? Like, what is the motivation? And, let's be true to yourself
Yeah,
at
and
some
I
point.
personally wanna thank you, Kate and Kirsty, for creating spaces where women feel beautiful, heard, and empowered because that's huge to us.
Yes. Yes.
And and I would like to say thank you. Thank you for helping us change thank you for helping us change the conversation around women's health, one honest conversation at a time. Thank you for sharing your heart, your soul,
And your
and being
knowledge.
so and your
You're
knowledge.
not.
It knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, but it's also powerful to surround yourself with women like you. So thank you for sharing your heart and soul with us.
Yes. Thank you. And I'm going to say your mission statement. Thank you so
Yes.
much for saving the world, one vagina at a time.
I'm glad I didn't have to say that.
Thank you, ladies. I'm honored to be, in your presence and
Thank you.
part of this conversation. I'm so appreciative of that, and for the work that you are doing too,
Thank you.
to help women, to support women succeed.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.